Welcome back to the Last Word podcast. As always, I'm Jay.
And I'm Rabbit.
And thank you everyone for joining us again this week. As always, before we get started, quick reminder, like, share, comment, subscribe right now, do it right now as you're listening. Go for it, please.
Yeah, click all those little check marks and hearts and whatever.
Whatever it is,
thumbs
wherever
up.
you are,
Yeah.
follow, all those wonderful things. We really appreciate it and we see it. So thank you. Of course, questions and concerns, lastwordapparel@gmail.com. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. This week has been crazy. It's been crazy.
Yeah, we have kind of a sad update. I don't even know if it's sad. It just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
We're going to go back into a topic last week. Yeah. So, from last time, we mentioned that we were, I found out that my ex's dog had passed away and that we were going to donate to his GoFundMe. Our reasons are good reasons, and we were just trying to do something good for another person. We were just trying to be good people, and we ended up donating, and here we thought like everything was fine, and that now we can all kind of move on silently. And then we saw some problems with the campaign itself. My donation had disappeared. Now, I donated anonymously to the public. He could still see it, but the public couldn't.
Well, there's no way to be completely anonymous on GoFundMe. You can't make your donation completely anonymous. So you can make it anonymous to the public. So if anyone looked at the page, they would just see a donation without a name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he can see who donates.
Yeah, and I mean, originally when we first talked about it, we wanted to donate completely anonymously, but that's not an option.
Right.
And so I thought it was weird because the money had already cleared my bank account. And then, so we started looking it up because we're like, what the hell happened? And as we were finding out that when you organize a GoFundMe campaign, you can go through your donors if you have a lot of donors, and you can manually refund their money, which we didn't know. Right. We thought that wasn't a thing. Why would someone want that, or why would a website do that?
Mm-hmm.
And that, of course, scared me, which that's actually what ended up happening, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But then we were also looking at reviews that there's problems sometimes when you donate anonymously, the computer or the system kind of messes up and it won't display it properly because you chose anonymous. And it was just really weird. We thought something was wrong. So I contacted GoFundMe, which their customer service, which is called customer happiness team, which is also ridiculous.
Classic.
You can only reach them by email, and then you have to go through 4 steps. You have to go to their help center, find common problems, read through all of these scenarios and situations, their frequently asked questions, and then if you don't see your question, you have to ask it. Mm-hmm. If you still don't see your answer,
you still don't get an answer.
Then they finally give you the prompt to still need more help. Contact us
to send an email.
Yeah, we did that, and they said 48 hours. Okay, so we wait 48 hours and nothing. We don't hear a thing, and I'm like, what the hell are we gonna do? You and I kind of contemplated reaching out to Kenneth because, maybe he'll give us a straight answer. Maybe it disappeared on his end too, and he was just
maybe
shocked.
He's just as confused as we are.
Yeah.
Because, that's the initial feeling. Like you said, we do the donation and we leave it alone. We think this is over. We go look. It's not on the page anymore, anything like that. We're questioning, okay, well, did he refund it his own, or did something mess up? Because you also didn't get a receipt for it.
No, I never got an email. I never got an email confirming that I donated, and I never got a receipt.
Right.
So we did that, and we're waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, I'm kind of, not so silently freaking out because my heart's broken now.
Yeah.
All those bad things that we thought weren't possible, we were hoping that he would just take the donation and be quiet about it. And, silent, not say anything to us. That was ideal. So on the third day of waiting to hear back from customer service, we don't even know if we're going to. We read more reviews of this exact situation happening to other people, and it is the website messing up. They did something wrong. You and I had kind of a conspiracy theory going about what might have happened. Finally get an email, and it was good news. She said that she confirmed that my donation was successful and he received it. And she also said, I refreshed the campaign so your donation will show now. You even checked it later because, I mean, we were planning on putting this in our link tree and it's still there. And everything was fine.
Right.
And then finally, you know, I felt this, you know, relief, this happiness, and I was ready to take on the world after that. I was like, perfect. Like, it worked. It was just the website being weird, or they did something. It's fixed now, and we can all walk away in peace.
Now we know.
Now we know, and it's okay. We did something good. We helped another human, regardless of who he was. You know, it's fine, and it's okay that he didn't say anything. It was okay that he never reached out, even if you and I never actually reached out in the first place. I don't know if a donation really qualifies as a reach out. But then, it was good. It was a good half of a day, like evening, and then day, afternoon, and then it got into evening, and I had applied for a job earlier in the day because I have to start doing that now for government assistant reasons. And I saw an email and I kind of got happy because I was like, ooh, maybe they're emailing me to confirm my application, or maybe they're like, hey, you need to answer some questions. Like, I was kind of excited. And then I saw the GoFundMe stuff. And the first one I saw was, we have issued a refund for your donation to, and they put the name of it. And like, you will receive your donation back in 3 to 7 business days. And then I got another email, which was kind of more spammy, but it was just like, are you satisfied with your customer service? Click yes or no. And I was devastated. Like, completely devastated. So at first I thought it was a mistake because just the day before I'd gotten an email.
We just dealt with all that other stuff, right?
And I replied to the original email because I thought, well, maybe they fucked up. Maybe they messed up. And since, like, I never answered it because I thought, well, it's done now. I don't have to answer it or anything. So I just replied, and I'm like, yeah, there is still something. You know, I got an email yesterday, but I just received something now saying my donation was refunded. And that, it sucked. We didn't get an answer from her immediately. And then we decided, just because we're so over the situation, after going through 2 days of already thinking the worst and it actually happening, we have to go straight to the source. We have to, like, find out from Kenneth, find out from my ex, if he actually did this or not, or if he sees a problem here too. And he never answered. As today goes, I mean, it's been about a full day, almost a full day since we originally sent him a message, and we haven't heard anything. So, you know,
we're not going to.
No, probably not. Knowing him, no. I always have hope that he'll dig himself out of it and that he'll try to contact us just to let us know. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not holding my breath for it. But I got the email this morning, confirming what we had, you know, our fears, and, you know, when this was all going on, that he manually refunded the donation himself. It wasn't a computer, it wasn't the website, it wasn't customer service, it was him. Unfortunately, before that, because you had already sent this email or this message to him at like 4:30, and we hadn't heard anything, I was like, you know what, like, I'm gonna try to, you know, just tell him, like, hey, can you please answer Joel's message? You know, we just need to know what's going on. You can give, you know, short, simple answers. We just want to know. You know, I'm not trying to be social. I'm not trying to talk. I'm not trying to do anything. Just go answer Joel's message, please. And, you know, that was it. But right after I did that, because I did it on my computer and I had my phone down, I wasn't looking at it. You know, I go to start scrolling through my apps and stuff, and I got that email. So I messaged him after it was sent, or after it was sent to me. Got it, opened it, and that's what.
Bottom line is that it was refunded by him.
By him, not the website, and not, it wasn't an error or something like that. So that really sucked, and it sucked to think about it last night too. And last night I was filled with such bitter thoughts, and I mean, I still kind of am. Like, it's still really hard to think, like, we just tried to do something nice for someone. We just trying to do a good thing. We saw this and we were devastated. Our hearts were breaking for him. Our own hearts were breaking because, we're looking at our dog who's sleeping on the couch right now, and we can't imagine that was Chief. And if it was, we would do the same thing. We'd be in the same place, and we'd welcome help from anybody.
Right.
I'm hurt personally just because... I still love this person. I still care about him. And how can he still be so dark and mean? And even if he has his own reasons that, of course, he's not telling us, why can't he just accept this and be quiet about it? Be silent. A silent acceptance. And it was heartbreaking. And, it really sucked.
Yeah. I don't know. It's disappointing, and it's sad, and in some way, yeah, you just look at it and it's like, wow. I mean, you and I have put in so much work and made so much progress, to be better and to do nice things, and from your point of view, to do something nice for someone who, he's your ex, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, you're doing something nice for him just for the sake of doing something nice with nothing else there. And that takes a really big person to do that for a lot of reasons. And then from my perspective, this is, in some ways, this is the person who, when you guys were, like, bad, I guess, is like when you guys would fight or when things got really bad, like, this is the person I saw putting you there,
Yeah.
and treating you poorly and just doing all that stuff, and I was pretty angry for a lot of reasons, and for a while because of that. But it, up to this point, it took me to also forgive and to let go and to move on and to be understanding, to be able to donate and give with no other reason for it, just because it's the right thing to do and because I would want it done for me too. Yeah. And it's just disappointing that this is how it ends up, right, where it's rejected. And it's just disappointing. It's like, clearly the time we've taken to grow and change and move on, it's like, he didn't take that time to do so.
No, he's
and for whatever reason, he's still bitter, and if not more bitter, and he's in a bad place and in a worse place, and still in his own, I don't know, delusions about, who's bad, who's good, blah blah blah, and that, or in some way that, we're so bad, or that he's still so angry that he couldn't take help. And
help from us.
Help from us, yeah. And it's just disappointing. I think it's from us specifically. If anyone up until this point, we haven't really looked at it. If ever anyone from the last episode did donate, that's still good. You're still doing a good thing.
We're gonna leave it up now, but
by the time this is up, it'll be done.
No. Well, what I was gonna say is that we'll probably leave it up for a week after we release this one. But after that, so that'll be about 2 weeks. Then
I don't
we'll
think
take
so.
It down.
But I was thinking a week was long enough, especially now. But that's not the point. My point that I was trying to make is that if you did donate, good. You still did a good thing for a good person, and that's really, I guess, one thing we can take from it is that we tried to do the right thing, and we fought for doing the right thing. And we continued to fight for it, and it still didn't work out. But we tried, and that does matter. Yeah. That does fucking matter. Trying matters. You know what I mean? What's the saying that, like, it's a thought that counts or whatever. And it's like, well, we fucking tried, and that should matter, especially now. You know what I mean? Life was crazy right now. It's chaotic, and I need something. I need a win. I need a win. Trying should be good enough.
When we got that email saying that it was successful, it felt like this weight was lifted off.
Yeah, a relief. Like, good, it was successful. He got it, and it went through, and that's it. It's done. We helped.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
Never did I really consider the fact that he'd be so... All I can think of are terrible things to express it. But that he'd be so any of those to reject it. And it's just insane to me.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing, but in some way it's not surprising. It's not.
I don't know why we didn't think about this. I mean, we had a thought process for everything
all these
that
things that could happen.
Wrong.
Never considered, he could just, reject
not take it.
And it's like, and in some way I feel kind of stupid. It's like, oh yeah.
Which is also in a weird way, like, I feel kind of offended here. And I mean, maybe, I think anybody would, but I do feel kind of offended. It's just like, how... That's rude, dude.
In some way, yeah, I get that.
Right? Like, it's a mean action, because we came up with this whole thing. It's like, well, what if he's, in a way, trying to protect you, too? Or, like, he feels he doesn't deserve it from you because, she had done so much for me already. I put her through so much. It's still a mean action.
Yeah.
It was still a mean action to do that and not say anything. Mm-hmm. Which also, and again, I don't want to put negativity out there either. Kind of makes him a bit of a coward for not being able to say anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Not be able to just be like, I'm
absolutely.
Sorry, I refunded it because, I shouldn't take her money.
Yeah. Well, him not saying anything says a lot. And
it really
you would
does.
think if that's how he felt, he would have said something. But clearly him not saying anything means that he's still in that place and he's still bitter, if not more so, and that's where he's going to be. You know what I mean? Unfortunately. And that's what that means, and so, his silence is an answer.
Yeah.
And, for me, it's a little, I'm offended a little, but I'm more just disappointed. I really am. I'm just disappointed. I don't know. This won't be the last time we try and do something nice for someone at all. Of course not,
No.
But this is just to show, I guess, that this can happen. You can have the best intentions, but it doesn't always work out. No. It just doesn't. And trying has to be enough sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you remember my thoughts from last night, and I'll share a few of them here. It takes me, it may not be all the time, and like I said, with how much progress I made and updating, the listeners last time, till now, it's like when weird stuff like that happens, it takes me back to that place. Even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just for, 15 minutes, it takes me back there to the 1st of July, and then it takes me back to the 28th of July when Kenneth and I had our last conversation. Mm-hmm. And the bitter thoughts that I was having, the negativity that was, coming out of my mouth last night, I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, how can he hate me? How can he hate a person that he was with for over a year? How do you do that to another human being? I know that I've messed up a lot. I know that I've messed up in friendships and other relationships. I know I've really fucked up a lot with my family. I know that 10, 15 years ago, I wasn't the best person I could be and that I was doing terrible things. Like, I know that. But it's really hard when a person that I truly love and still care about now can still think of me as that person. And I think about his family and the horrible shit that they have done to him and continue to do to him almost on a daily basis, calling him gay and using derogatory names for him, making fun of him, mocking him. doing horrible shit. There has been physical fights between him and his family. His mother hitting him, his stepdad and him getting into a fight where a mirror breaks and he cuts his hand open. I think about all of those people and all the terrible things that I've done and how much, forgiveness there is for him. I know I said some terrible things. So I never mocked him. I never called him names. I didn't call him stupid. I never said, oh, you're so dumb, or I hate you, you're such an asshole. I think I might have called him a jerk once, but he was being a jerk. I told him I wanted to call him an asshole, but I'm not going to, which I guess...
That's kind of calling him one.
Still kind of
counts.
Yeah, kind of counts there, but I never did any of those things. I never tried to intimidate him. Of course, we never got into a physical fight or anything like that. But I wish I had just a teeny bit of that forgiveness that he gives these other people. Because I was truly a person that cared about him and still does. And all of last night, just playing this over and over again, it gets hard. And it gets hard to deal with. It's hard to talk about it right now. I'm on the verge of, tears and laughter at the same time. And it sucks, but when I woke up this morning, again, and when I got that email, I didn't cry about it. Like I normally would, which is, it's okay to cry. It's definitely okay to cry about these things sometimes. I just kind of nodded my head and I'm like, all right, now it's done. It's over. We move on. We move forward. But like I said, I wish I had a little bit of that forgiveness, because I never did anything that was so horrible that I would be someone's enemy. I mean, especially not Kenneth, not him. I mean, I know there's some other people that probably hate me and that want, wish the worst on me, but not him, because I never did anything horrible. I criticized his family, and I criticized sometimes how he does things and why, and wanting an explanation for why he does these things, or just wanting to communicate. I think those are the worst things I've ever done. And I take a lot of ownership. I take a lot of blame for those things. And I owned up to him, and I told him, how sorry I was for the things that I had done, especially, I called his best friend, who he calls his brother, I called him a bad dad, because personally, I thought the things that he was saying at the time about his friend, I thought they made him a bad father. Now, I've since learned what I should and shouldn't say and why I shouldn't say those things. And I've really learned a lot of self-control, especially, basically, watching what I say. If I don't have something nice to say, I shouldn't say it. I think we learned that in grade school.
Well, we should have learned it.
We should have learned it. I guess I never did. But I don't know. Again, I got up this morning and I was just like, well, all right, it's done. We've literally done everything we could.
Yeah, there's nowhere else to go.
There's
anything else that we could do if we tried to stay in this place, it wouldn't be productive and it wouldn't help anything. So no. It's time to go. And we would lose our integrity. We would lose our reputation and our values. Yeah, and there's no point to that. So it's time to go. And that's just how it is. I mean, to go back on a little bit what you're talking about as far as he had in some way, I'm going to call it, you don't have to say it, but I'll say it's abuse. He suffers abuse from the people around him who are supposed to love him and take care of him, but they instead, treat him poorly, take advantage of him, call him terrible names, and physically fight with him. Unfortunately, it's kind of, I would say, typical for someone in that situation to flock back to that situation, to want to stay in that situation. I mean, and it can be different things. It doesn't have to necessarily be like an abusive, relationship, whether it's family or otherwise. It can be, other things. It's just, I think it's just human nature that we like to stay in places because they're comfortable for us, even if they're terrible places.
Right.
And we will continue to do terrible things or let terrible things happen to us in those places. But we never venture outside of that, because it's still in some way home and it's still comfort. And anything other than that, anything different is uncomfortable. And we don't want that. And so ironically, you being nice to him and you caring for him and you challenging him in different ways is what scared him.
Right.
I
think you told me, I mean, you can kind of understand why he felt controlled, why he felt manipulated, because he's never experienced it before.
Experienced someone available before and someone who's there to talk to him and love him without him having to work for it or do something to gain that, without him having to feel guilty to gain that. You were just there. And when someone's so available, I kind of talked about myself, in a past podcast, is that, with someone that's so available, you question it. You're like, wait, why are you here? Why do you care so much? Why are you asking these questions?
Yeah.
And it can feel suffocating, but
that's wrong.
It's not. It should be the opposite.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, and no, it should
way.
be the opposite. And I guess most of the time, unfortunately, people don't realize that, and they're more liable to stay in a terrible place, because it's what they're used to. And ironically, maybe if you would have been mean to him, he would still be here today. Like, if you would have called him a dumb and like insulted him and all this shit, he would have still been here.
Yeah, he would still be around because then he'd be getting what he's used to.
But you're not that person, and neither am I, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I think to kind of conclude this, just because we've kind of stayed on it for a while.
We've stayed on it for a while, and I don't think... And part of moving on is moving on. So this is also the end.
I mean, I think I've decided that for a long time, unless, again, something new happens, we're probably not going to bring up the X topic.
Yeah.
For a while. Okay. Depending on what happens, I don't plan on anything happening, but you never know. Apparently this world is crazy and unpredictable. But to put my final thoughts on it, to put my last word, the Last Word podcast. At first I wanted to be completely done. All those bitter thoughts last night, I wanted to completely, I was telling you, I want to cut it out. I don't want to feel it anymore. I don't want to care about him. I don't want to love him. I don't want to do anything like that. And I'm just like, but that's not you. That's not who you are. That's not Rachel. There's very few people in this world that I wouldn't give my world for, my life for. Mm-hmm. One of them being my dad, which I think we should talk about at some point. Maybe that, suddenly a lot of things would make sense of why I am the way that I am. But
yes, it's true.
It is.
It's true.
You've met him. You know him.
And I know the stories, and it would make a lot of sense.
Yes, it would. So maybe we'll have another heavy podcast eventually. Ugh. But, I think he is the only person that, I wouldn't give my world to, but because he's done such terrible things to, me, well, not to me, but, that I've been witness to my mom and my family. But unless you do those things to me, unless you hurt me so badly that it like hurts my soul and my reason for being a human being, I am gonna always be there. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna try to help. And I think how it portrays to Kenneth is no, I'm not gonna go out of my way anymore. I'm not gonna seek him out. I'm certainly not gonna reach out to him anymore. I'm not
even if it's charity,
even if it's a charity thing, even if something else happens, I don't know what would happen. His mother dies and they need help. I'm not gonna, that sounds really sad, but now if he were to come to me and it's within my boundaries, and I think that's the biggest difference here, is as long as I feel able to, emotionally, if it's okay for my well-being, that I can be there for someone, I'm gonna continue to do do the things that I do and be that good person. Because I'm never not that person. He could text me tomorrow and, say whatever. And as long as I can handle it emotionally, as long as it stays within my boundaries and I don't let my boundaries go, it's okay. I'm okay. Because I'm always going to be a good person. I've been, obviously we just mentioned my dad. I've been beaten down a lot in my life constantly by different people, different types of people, friends and family and school teachers and, just so many people. And I never let any of that get me down. I never let any of that make me into a bitter, dark, negative person. I'm not going to let this either.
Yeah.
So, he could come back tomorrow. He could try to reach out in a year and whatever. And I'm always going to treat him with kindness. I'm always going to be nice. If he asks for help, if we're able to, I will help. If we're in that position where we can help, if he needs just some moral support, whatever, I'm always going to be here because that's who I am. Now, if it violates my boundaries, no. I'm out. I'm not going to go there. If it stays within my boundaries and they're healthy boundaries, I'm always going to do it. But that goes for anybody. That goes for anyone that comes, in and out of my life. As long as I have healthy, stable boundaries, I'm always going to try to be a good person.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let this turn me into a, bitter, soul-crushing person. That's just not me. And I know for some of you that are listening, you're probably screaming at me like, Rachel, don't do that. Don't do this. And it's just like, you do you, man. This is me. This is how I've always been. And I know, maybe that would be wrong for a lot of people, but that's who I am. I always showed too much kindness and compassion and forgiveness. But, I was reading a quote, and maybe I'll read it here to kind of end this section real quick. But it spoke to me in a lot of ways, and I liked it. And I don't know who this is by. I found it on Pinterest, and it, some of these people just put them out there.
It could have came from anywhere.
It could have came from anywhere. And I don't agree with the last little part, but it just goes like this. It says, hate no one, no matter how much they've wronged you. Live humbly, no matter how wealthy you become. Think positively, no matter how hard life is. Give much, even if you've been given little. Forgive all, especially yourself, and never stop praying for the best for everyone. That spoke to me. I found that today, actually. And it spoke to me. Now, I don't pray necessarily, but I do hope. Mm-hmm. I do hope the best for Kenneth.
Yeah.
Do I have a little bit of hope, too, that he'll try? Maybe. A little. But I hope the best for him. I hope the best for everyone in my life. And everything in that quote is true and meaningful. And that's how I want to live my life. That's how I've been living my life. And now I want to be a better version of, this quote. And, that's what we're ending that with. Because no matter, what we just said or even some of the negative stuff, it's true. This is what I want to end with it. This is, that's what I want to say. That's the whole situation for me can be covered in parts of this quote. And that's it. Now, when I get the money back, I'm going to do a little self-care and I'm going to buy myself some makeup. And I know material possessions, is that really what you need right now? But I'm going to buy myself some nice makeup. I'm going to feel good about myself. And in April, when you and I get our taxes back, we're going to find a really cool charity, or we're not going to go through GoFundMe anymore because that is kind of scammy, kind of weird. We're going to donate to something really meaningful. We don't know what yet, and we'll be on the lookout for different things and different people that might need our help. And that's how we'll help someone. Yeah,
that's how we'll make up for it.
Yeah.
In some way. Not that we have any making up to do, but that's how we'll ensure that it continues.
Yeah.
And again, if anyone did end up donating to this, that's good. You still did a good thing. Don't feel discouraged. You did a good thing, and that's the point. And if you didn't, that's okay too.
Yeah, it is okay now.
And especially now. So that's that part. And it just adds into, I guess, the next thing, or what I'm going to talk about a little bit, is just, I said it in the last podcast, like, description, and it's still holding true today. Life is chaotic right now. It's pretty crazy. It's in flux, and it's hard.
It's been really difficult lately.
It's like in that podcast we were listening to lately, or yesterday, it was like, Jesus, do you hate me?
Exactly.
It's like,
because it's just like one thing after the other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the kind of stuff. We have some financial stuff that we haven't talked about, but
probably won't.
we're hoping, yeah, I mean, we're kind of hoping it works itself out. I mean, we had to get some more government assistance because we can't afford food, so we're part of the SNAP program now, and it's been really difficult. But what makes it more difficult is work.
Yeah, exactly, and that's, I guess, what I want to talk about now. It's like the entire chaos of it all, but what's really attributing to that now is work. It is. I won't talk about too many. I'll talk about stuff from my point of view and like personal stuff with work, but not like people or anything like that.
Where he actually,
nothing too specific.
Yeah,
we've already mentioned where we work.
Well, you just work at a bookstore, but we're not going to name the bookstore.
Well, okay.
Or the specific people.
We've had this conversation already, and it wouldn't be too hard for someone to figure it out. But what I was saying is that I'm going to say it from my point of view and my personal experiences, and I don't want to talk about anyone else personally.
Yeah.
That's it. No need to complicate that. Anyway, I guess it just happened recently, obviously, where they cut hours. They cut hours at work. And I wasn't getting a whole lot before, but I was getting more than I am now. And they cut them in the middle of the week, which is like fucking horrendous. It really is. And it's insulting. And, I guess, as always, it just comes down to the bottom line. And I'm not in that bottom line.
Right.
And maybe it would get better. Maybe we had time to find out, but I don't have time to find out. So as of right now, I'm looking for a new job.
Yeah, I mean, us as a unit, we're not going to make it too far if you don't find another job.
Yeah, and that's just what's happening right now. That's the reality of it, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate. What the fuck? It's unfortunate because, like, I really liked working where I am working now. It was the first job in a long time where I was happy. Which is fucking depressing to say.
Well, you certainly didn't come home like you used to, beaten down, worn out, physically hurting.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff like you did when you were working at Target. You would actually come home happy.
Yeah.
And you would like to talk about work and what you're doing, what you're learning, and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like whenever you do get a new job and you start working there, the beginning is great and it's wonderful, and you think like you finally hit it, like you hit it big, and it kind of seems like you get on a sinking ship.
Yeah, I don't know. I think unfortunately that's just the nature of like working in a corporate entity, for a big company, a big retail company in general. I think that's just the norm, unfortunately. Hours get cut, stores close, that's just how it happens. And everyone sees, or they look at the bottom line to make decisions, but they don't see, like, they're not in the store, they're not on the floor, or they're not in this section, so they don't know what's happening, and they don't know the work it takes, or the people who don't pull their weight, even in, like, whether they're employees or even management, you know what I mean? And it affects everything, obviously. And there was, fears and worries that where I work now wasn't going to make it, or was going to be something different, or be bought out by a different company.
Yeah.
But when this happened, I realized it's not going to be some big corporation or some other thing that stops this place. It's going to be ourselves. That's what's going to kill this place. It's going to be you. You're going to kill this place. It's going to kill itself. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy, because I remember when I first started working, my dad told me, all you have to do is be a good worker, work hard, do more than you need to, and that's going to be recognized. That's going to be recognized, and that's going to be rewarded. They're going to see it. And it's like, maybe that was true when you were working, but that is not the case anymore. Ago. That is, that is not the case anymore. It's just not. If you're a good worker and you do a lot and you do more than you should, then they give you more. But you won't be compensated in any way for hours or money, or pay or anything like that. Yeah. It's not how it works anymore. They don't care. It just doesn't matter, and that's the nature of work now, and that's unfortunate because I recently, on Monday, end of work, it was almost closing, and I sold $13,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It is.
$13,000 worth of product. I just sold $13,000 worth of product, and I still don't make minimum wage. I still don't have over 20 hours. And that fucking hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so sucks. Insulting. And it just makes you question all of it. It makes you question the whole system, for lack of a better word. System. The whole way it works, and who you're working for, and why at the end of it. Why? Because I could be doing less or doing more, but getting paid better, or something. I don't know. But the point is that it's not, something's not adding up. And I don't know if it's just because now of everything else going on, if I'm being more cynical or anything like that, but even the process of applying for places is just kind of ridiculous too, because you can be completely qualified for something, or you don't meet qualifications, quote unquote, whatever that means. But just, I think the fact alone that you have to apply to a place and expect the person who is seeing that to be responsible enough to make the right decision is kind of a fallacy in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because
just applying for a job.
Because the more places you work at, and at this point I've worked in a lot of places, the more you realize none of you people have any of your shit together.
Right.
None of you do. So many managers I've had have been just out of their depth. You know what I mean? Just no idea what they're doing, how they're going to do it. They're less responsible than I am, less mature, and it's just crazy. And it's I'm working for you, Yeah,
I could do a better job, and I've had no management training.
Yeah, and it just happens in so many places. Luckily, it hasn't happened in this place, which is good. Or at least not with my direct manager right now. But you have
a really good manager.
Yeah, but there are other managers, other places.
Or them.
In this, there are places in the store where that's not the case, and I can see it. But it's just insane, and I don't know where it starts, how that happens. Where it's a cycle, obviously, of bad choices, bad management from the bottom up. But where does it end? I don't know. And if it does, I don't know. And part of me is real cynical and really wants to say, I don't want to be part of it. You know what I mean? It's just hard. It's just so hard. And you can see the writing on the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can see the man behind the curtain. And you're just fuck this. And I don't know what to say. It makes going to work hard. It makes wanting to do, as bad as this sounds, it makes wanting to do my best hard, because it doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of took away your initiative to want to be a good worker.
Yeah.
It takes your initiative away to, well, not to say that you're ever going to do this, but to show up on time, to be early.
Right.
not call in.
Yeah.
Which you never did before. In fact, unless you were sick or, you know, something else is going on that we had to take care of, you never called in.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I'm not going to do those things. I'm not going to show up
No.
late on purpose or call in for no reason. I'm still not. Because, you know, kind of to go back to what we were talking about, it's like, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know? And that's proof. As hard as it is to go into work, like Monday, same day, I had a lady come in. She needed help. So I helped her. And it was a process that took, 15, 30 minutes. And she sat there. And we talked, and I was already dealing with all this bullshit and, everything else. And then having to be at work on top of it was hard. And she comes in, and I don't know why customers always do this, but they always come in and they tell you the craziest shit. Like, I didn't need to know that. You didn't have to tell me that. Why are you telling me that?
Yeah.
And she told me specifically, it's like, okay, yeah, I just need this done. Okay, cool. He's like, yeah, just out of nowhere, she's like, yeah, I lost my son on Saturday. Like, he was killed. I'm just like,
oh my God.
And like, I purposefully kind of just glanced over it, just kind of like I didn't ignore it, and I wasn't rude about it, but in my head, I'm like, don't put this on me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Don't put this, like, I just, with everything else I have inside that I'm dealing with and around me that I'm dealing with, don't put this weight on me too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I think
that's heavy.
Yeah. So, and then it's like, I don't even know what am I supposed to say to that? What the fuck do I say to that? What the fuck do I tell a mom who lost their son that was killed? You know what I mean?
Right.
I think,
like, you're a tech.
It's
you
like,
deal with
I'm
phones.
trying to fix your phone. It's like, I'm just trying to restore your phone. Like,
exactly.
I'm not your therapist. I don't get paid.
I'm not a counselor.
I'm less qualified, and I don't get paid enough for that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You should find someone who can. And I think it's in human nature to, like, want to share that stuff.
Right.
Just because we go through so much shit, and people they need to express it. I understand where it comes from.
Yeah.
I do. But, like, I'm just trying to fix your phone. And, like, on top of the fact, like, I'm dealing with stuff on my own. Like, don't put that on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird.
I glanced over. I did ignore it. I wasn't rude, but I was just like, okay, But, what I did do is what I could do, which was I could help her, I could fix her problem, and I can be there for her every step of the way through it. Yeah. And be patient and be understanding and be a good person and a good worker. That's what I could do, and that's what I did. I couldn't say anything to what she told me. I couldn't fix what she told me as far as what happened to her and her son. And I couldn't take that on me. But I did what I could, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the whole fucking point. It's like, you may not win the battle, and you may not win the war, but you gotta fucking try. You try. You do what you can do, and that's it. And sometimes that has to be enough.
I think that's kind of the moral of both of
all of this.
Yeah, of both of these stories that we've put out here, that we have to try, and that trying is enough. Mm-hmm. And yes, something will eventually work out. It will work itself out. And you and I have always believed that. We've always been in the positions where just when it seems hopeless, when it's so dark, and we've
been there before.
We've been there a few times. Just around the corner, there's a good thing. Mm-hmm. There's good news, or something changes. And we got to keep working towards that. And it sucks while we're in it. Like, it really sucks. Today is kind of not a good day.
Yeah, these last weeks haven't been.
No.
But
we keep pushing through. We keep finding reasons to get up the next day. We find reasons to continue to work out, write.
Work.
Record. Work on the podcast. Take care of our dog. And then, it will work itself out. We will find a way to keep going.
Absolutely.
But in the moments like this, we have to just do our best and do what we're supposed to do. Because, you're not that lady's therapist. And I think it's really weird. I mean, it is human nature, like you said. When my grandpa died, my mom was telling everyone.
And it's like, stop.
She was telling her cashier, her doctor.
Right. They have to be here for 4 to 8 hours. They're fucking on their feet. They're ringing up rude people all day. They don't need to hear that your so-and-so died. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Just don't. Just
find a therapist. Talk to them about it.
Or find someone who will actually, like, care and, like, maybe help you, like a friend or another family member.
Yeah.
But stop just going out in public and telling all these random people who are just trying to live their own life and, like, get through their day.
Yeah.
You know? And if you're someone like me, you take that shit personally because you feel it. You feel their pain. You feel the sadness. You understand what it means. I can't hear that and take that on and just ignore it after. I can't, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, let people just work. I mean, she's not the only customer who's done shit like that to me. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I do understand it, but stop it. But that's just how it is. And yeah, you do your best. You do your best. Because what else can you do? It's too easy to lose your integrity in hard moments like this. It's too easy to lean into the anger or the sadness, but it gets you nowhere, and you end up potentially staying there, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. So you just keep doing your best. I mean, it's like in the podcast again. Okay, people, go listen to the Honeydew podcast with Ryan Sickler. This last episode with Chris DiStefano. And he's talking about, like, you know, a really bad place. And then, but what he says is, like, you don't know how quickly that can change.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can complain about a lot of this shit or whatever it is. And a lot of it is not super important. And sometimes you're in a serious, like, place. You know what I mean? Like, kind of how I feel we are now. But you don't know how quickly.
How I was last night.
Right. And it's like, but you don't know how quickly that can change. Exactly. And it's happened for us before. So until then, we just keep going, and we just do our best. And that's what everyone should do, wherever they are, in whatever situation.
Yeah.
Just do your best and work for it. Don't despair, and don't just sit there, you know? It's too easy to let that happen. And it's too easy to let it happen to you. Yep. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I don't understand the state of work now, and I feel like we're stuck working in a system that was made, you know, 80 years ago.
Yeah,
and I mean, it doesn't work the same now.
Some of the things that I've read is the whole model of, and again, I'm not a financial expert, I'm not a historian or anything like that, but this was set up back in the 50s, the 60s.
Even probably before.
Right,
like,
even before that,
like,
for, you know, a household.
Right.
That consisted of a husband, a wife, and kids.
Right.
And that one income was more than enough.
Right.
But that was back then, and probably even before then.
Mm-hmm.
It does not work now.
Yeah.
And I think this is, you know, to put a little bit of a political spin on here, it's not working. It's not working for, you know, single moms, single dads. It's not working for the young married couple like you and me. It's not, you know, working for the college student. Mm-hmm. It's not working, and something needs to be done about it.
The system doesn't work anymore. It's outdated, and it doesn't work anymore. To expect that, like, anyone at our age or younger could own a house at this point it's pretty fucking rare. It's pretty rare, you know?
Right, and our friends that do, they have good jobs, but one of the big things is that they were able to get into college. Mm-hmm. They were able to get into a good program, and then
then they got lucky to find a job after, and a job that
because of lucky experiences that they had before.
And I guess that's what sometimes all it comes down to is luck.
Yeah.
You know? Which is unfortunate too. I mean, but to go back to what we were saying is, like, that doesn't work anymore. The system doesn't work that way anymore. We don't get paid enough for how much things cost. And to think that, like, oh, you should, you know, back in my day, you know, I had a house by now and blah, blah, blah. It's like, Yeah, because it was different, you motherfucker, and you're the one who ruined it. You know?
You were the one who voted for these people to do these things.
To allow this stuff to happen.
Yeah.
You're the one who ruined it for me. That's why I can't have a house right now. That's why I can't have a steady job that sticks with me and doesn't cut hours and all this bullshit, you know? And it just doesn't work anymore. And working hard and doing more than you can isn't the way you get ahead anymore, unfortunately.
No, I mean, nowadays...
You get lucky.
You have to be lucky to learn a skill or a trade, whether it was from, lucky experiences, or you happen to get into a program, you happen to do something. You get even more lucky by having a connection, knowing somebody, and getting your foot in the door that way.
Right.
And that's how a lot of people nowadays are making it work, simply because they got very lucky with it.
It worked out because they got lucky. It worked out. I feel like it's one or the other. Like, you either just get lucky and it works out, or you just put up with enormous amounts of bullshit for years and years and years until eventually you get, like, more money.
Yeah.
Or you get a higher position.
Right. A manager dies.
It amounts to work now doesn't amount to how well you work and how much you can do. It amounts to how much bullshit you can put up with.
Yeah.
And Jesus, it's hard to put up with bullshit. It's weird. Once you know your worth, which is something I've learned within the last couple years, after going to therapy and not, like, being depressed anymore or anything like that. Like, once you learn your worth as not only as a human being, but as an individual, it's like, it's hard to put up with bullshit like that, because I'm better than that. Yeah. And I'm literally worth more than that, Yeah. So it's hard to...
it's something that I'm learning now.
Yeah, and it's hard. So it's really hard. I don't think we're built to work, unfortunately. At least not in the traditional sense.
No, we're not. I mean, we've both done terrible jobs. I mean, I was a housekeeper for almost a year.
Mostly terrible jobs.
And I mean, I just mentioned, like, I think it was when we were with friends, about a hotel room that I had to clean that was horrible. We've done the dirty jobs. We've done the terrible jobs.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying, and again, no offense to the people who do those jobs, because you're the reason why society does work. But those jobs are terrible. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone that doesn't have to.
Right.
But you and I are meant to really put our heart and soul and our hard work into something more creative.
Or just something different.
Just
I don't know what it is.
Just something different that uses everything that we have to offer.
And that's not to say that there's something wrong with those jobs. There's not. And
no, it was a good job.
Working those jobs, I have so much respect for people who do. I used to think, like, oh, how stupid, like, certain jobs were. Like, oh, you do that? That's dumb. Or why would he do that? Why would this person want to do that? And it's like, and after working those jobs, I'm like, oh, I get it. And that's not always the case. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, sometimes we don't have a fucking choice. We have to do these jobs. Second of all, at least I have a job. At least I'm working. And that's what matters too. At least I'm trying. Going back to that, at least I'm trying. And so there's nothing wrong with jobs like that, and I've done them, and I may end up continuing to do them. I've seen the worst in people and in, I guess, in tasks and things that I had to do. I've seen the shit on the walls and all over the toilet, and I've had to clean it. I've had to.
Yeah.
Someone shat. And it's like, it's the perfect quote, because it's exactly what happened from the documentary American Movie. He's talking about, because he starts working at, like, a funeral home, and he's talking about, he had to clean a toilet. And what happened, and exactly what he's talking about, happened to me. It's like, someone just didn't shit. Like, they shat. Like, they shat all over the toilet. You know, they shat on the wall. It was up on the wall, and it was on the toilet, and it was on the floor. Like, they didn't shit. Like, they shat. And, you know, I had to clean that up. And, like, and there's a point where you stop and you realize, like, you're doing this, and you realize you're like, I'm about to gear up, get some gloves, get a mop or whatever the fuck, and I'm about to clean someone else's shit off the wall.
Right. That isn't someone that you would normally do this for.
Yeah. And
like a family member
right.
or a sick, you know,
like
a sick child or
shit. I'm about to clean a stranger's shit off the wall. And I've been there. And I feel like in some way, if you've never been there, then be fucking grateful for whatever job you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
be thankful for your desk job right now.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. Or that you haven't had to work and haven't done that yet. And if you ever have to do that, I understand how you feel. And good job to you and good luck to you. But, like, I've been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you start not only realizing your situation, but once you start realizing your self-worth, it makes a lot of this tedious stuff almost unbearable.
Yeah.
Because you start realizing how much you're taking advantage of. You start realizing how much the company you work for doesn't care. And you start realizing how much better you could do. You know? And it's hard. It's like, for lack of a better, I guess, description, or like, it's like being unplugged from the Matrix. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, like once you can see your surroundings, it's like, ooh, oh no, I don't think this is
like
good.
you wake up. You wake up from it.
Exactly. Once you wake up and you're like, oh, this shouldn't be normal. This isn't normal. This isn't good. And it makes things harder, but I'm grateful for it. And hopefully something good happens because of it.
I think it will. I think that's the whole theme of all of this, is that something good has to be coming our way. But it's the same.
It can't get much worse.
It can't. And
Next
that's
podcast.
how old Rachel became homeless.
Yeah, right? Welcome to the Last Word Podcast. We're coming to you live from the street corner. from the
Like, oh no, Chief, don't bite that person.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Hi, spare change. But back to what I was saying. Hey guys, the homeless edition.
Or this is just how Jay and Rabbit decided that they were going to run away from society and go live in a
off the grid.
remote cabin in the woods.
I don't know much about building or survival.
Well, I'm Native American. I think I could figure it out, right?
Your instincts will kick in.
Yeah, like my Native American blood will start pumping, and I'll
you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I've never fished a day in my life.
I can fish.
Oh, okay.
But
I've
I
never
can't
hunted.
make a fishing pole from nothing.
I can't either.
So
we might have to steal some equipment from your father. I feel like he might have a lot of that.
You know, maybe we could. I mean, it reminds me of Into the Wild. You know, the Chris McCandless story where... And he does do that. Like, he doesn't make his own fishing rods or anything like that, but he sells some stuff. He buys a fishing rod. He buys, this stuff, and he uses it. And then when you said that, I was like, we could borrow that from my dad. Yeah, I think he also has, like, a cot he doesn't use. We can
Wait, doesn't he have
probably
tents
have some camping equipment he wouldn't miss.
Yeah,
like,
that he hasn't, that he
actually
hasn't seen in, like, 5 years.
My brain actually started going through that, because I was like, maybe...
Okay, guys, this isn't actually happening.
Maybe, no. Maybe we can do this.
Again,
and
Last Word Podcast, Off the Grid edition.
What a way to put... That would definitely put life into perspective. Think of that. Like, being... in a place where, like, it's literally, like, survival, like, life or death. Like, you wake up in the morning and you fish and you catch something, because if you don't, you don't eat that day.
Yeah.
But also, like, there's so much things you don't have to worry about anymore. Like, I don't have to pay rent anymore. Or, check Instagram anymore. I don't have to worry about who didn't respond to me, you know, in a text.
Yeah.
Like, it's just me and what's in front of me.
But chances are we would actually only last a few days. And if we were actually able to make it work, we would probably be dead within a week.
How would we die? Like, what would your prediction be?
I might actually kill you.
Okay, that's funny that you say that, because I was like, my top prediction is that we... either one of us kills the other, or we kill each other. Like, that's what would happen. that was my top prediction.
Oh, yeah.
Second would be...
we would get lost.
We get lost. Third would be... like, knowing me... like, we fall down something and die.
Right.
Or fall off of something
like
and die.
off of a cliff, or... yeah.
And then, like, last prediction would be, like, we eat something we shouldn't have, and then we die. Something like that.
And what would we do with Chief? Like,
he'd have to live out there with us in the wild.
I don't think
he would be a wild dog.
I don't think he'd make it.
Yeah, he's so spoiled and such a house dog. Like,
we'll
just leave him with my mom and dad, and
they'd love that.
And then we'll just go live in the wilderness and never return.
Okay, we're not gonna do this because I do love. No, well, you go do it.
I might do it.
But no, I mean, it's
Alexander Supertramp.
You know, it is an idea. Just in case shit hits the fan, like, actually does it. This is an idea, so...
hey, maybe we'll do it.
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't want to live in the middle of the woods.
I don't know.
I like modern society.
It's just the mind state I'm in right now, and just with everything going on and just everything we just talked about. But part of me is like, you're like, I can't live in the forest. And part of me is thinking about, I'm like, I'll do it. Like, I can do it. I can do it.
I don't think we can.
I could go right now. No one would ever know. I could just disappear.
I think there would be a few people that would notice.
I could just disappear.
Anyway.
Thank you for listening to this. We are not done, though. We're gonna... really? Really?
I'm sorry, everyone. I had to vape in between this, and I don't know.
Anyway, we are not going to end this on that type of note, even though I don't think it was that negative.
I think Jay is losing it a little bit.
So negative, but we're going to end it on a more positive note. One thing we have been doing with our lives, very successful, is
we're
been
really
playing
grinding here.
The Sims 4 on PlayStation. It was free on PlayStation. We mentioned this. We downloaded it, and we've been playing it. And how's that going for you?
Oh, my God. Okay, so... I got into The Sims when it was still The Sims 3, back when we lived in Phoenix, which was, what, like 6-7 years ago? It was a while ago, and I don't remember how it happened. You just mentioned it, that, oh, hey, I have this game on my computer. Do you want to check it out? Because we were like, we didn't have too much to do there yet. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Like, I don't think I could ever get into this.
Yeah, you talked shit about it first.
I did. Mm-hmm. I watched you and our friend Caesar play it, and I was just like, this
is dumb. You guys, like, yeah. And then we told you, we're like, if you play it, you're going to get hooked, and you didn't believe us.
No, I didn't, because I didn't even know what The Sims 3 really was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what to do, really, how to play it. So you helped set me up to create my character. Mm-hmm. And that's when it all started.
Yep.
I created my character, and oh my God, I got so addicted to this game. Mm-hmm. I had really bad insomnia when we lived there, and I would remember either not being able to sleep or waking up and unable to go back to sleep and wanting to wake up and play The Sims. Mm-hmm. And I even remember whispering to you, like, hey, like, babe, can I go play The Sims for a little bit? I can't sleep. You, like, wake up, like, okay, yeah, sure, don't stay up too late. And I would, like, easily stay up until, like, 2 a.m.
Yep.
So that's how I got my start in The Sims. And we still play The Sims 3 every once in a while. Because I like that game. It's fun. We bought The Sims 4 when it came out. Like, a little while after it came out, we wanted the bugs to get fixed and any other stuff like that to get resolved. And I remember playing it on the computer, and it was so weird. And I didn't
really... It's different.
It's different. Like, it's still the same, genre. It's still the same game. Same basic concept, but it's different. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't really get into it. It wasn't something that, like, I was, like, really interested in playing. So we stopped playing it, and then it came out on PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the only game that you and I have played for, like, 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's been a journey. It's been a lot. Yeah.
So I created my family, and I started playing it. And at first, like, I was just getting the mechanics down. I remember just trying to make my character, which was so different and weird. And I don't know, like, I didn't like it. I got to, like, create my character and, like, make her. But then I was so frustrated with how the game worked and having to learn all the controls and stuff, because it's different on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Keyboard probably would have been a little bit easier, which, again, we have it on our computer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I just couldn't do it. It wasn't for me. And I quit after making my character and getting in the game. And it was frustrating. Tried it one more time, and I had to make my house. Like, I went to a town I wasn't supposed to go to because they didn't have any pre-made homes. They only had homes that you had to make yourself.
Right,
so I put
empty lots.
Yeah, so I put my sim in an empty lot. And because you don't start off with a lot of money when you first, without using cheats, I had to basically make a square.
Yep.
And put my...
Like a small square.
A small square. And I had a huge lot. I still do. And I had to put a small square. And then basically, I mean, put my bathroom in there, a little kitchen, like a bed, and that was it. That's all I could afford, was just a square. Just like a 6x6 square. And like, that's it. That's what I started with. And oh my god, this shit was terrible. My sim was like getting tense. She was running out of money. She like didn't have enough money to like pay her bills. It was bad at first, and it was getting frustrating.
Yeah. It's like, I played this to escape what's happening. Why is this so much?
Why is this like
Why is
real
this
life?
reflecting reality right now?
Yeah. So you started getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you downloaded it just after that. You started making your guy and your house.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it one more time, but I'm going to try it gaming like I usually do. So I had my PlayStation on like a little cart, and I just pull it to the couch. Like if we're gaming together or if I'm watching stuff with myself, I just pull my PlayStation over. But when I game with friends, or you and I are doing something, what is it called, cooperative, then I set my PlayStation to the side, and I have a gaming chair that I use, so I can like sit upright and, you know, still be comfortable, and I can actually like be with the screen. I started doing that, and it became easier because I was able to actually see what I was doing. It became less annoying and less frustrating, and then I finally like, we just got into it. Like, we both just like started going off with it and running, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
So I made my little house. I actually have a decent house now. I did have to use the cheat, just because, like,
Cheater.
You know, yeah, I'm a cheater. And I finally was able to make a dining room and have separate bedrooms, and finally put my bathroom in my room and all this stuff. And it gets crazy sometimes. It gets nuts. There's so much going on. I can't keep up with all of it. One of my Sims is always half dying.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the nature of The Sims. Again, for those who don't know, The Sims, it's hard to explain. It's a simulation game where you control people like a family, and they're called Sims. And it could just be one person. You can do pretty much everything you can in real life. It's just completely in your control, which I guess is what's so enticing. You know what I mean? You can make your house. You can make rooms, your bedrooms, your bathrooms, or not at all. And your Sims can have, you know, personalities and just all kinds of stuff, you know, and they just make it more and more complicated. And it just, you can do so much. And when I first started playing The Sims, though, to go back, is like, I was like 9-10 years old when the Sims 1, the first Sims game ever came out.
Yeah.
I was playing it. And because it was like one of the only games that ran on the computer we had at that time. And so, you know, and it was so simple. Like, if you look at the graphics for Sims now versus the first Sims, it is so weird to see. It's so different. But even in that, it was so fun. And I was young, so I was like, I barely knew the things I could do. And then once you start figuring out that, like, oh, I can make separate rooms, or oh, I can make 2-story houses, or you know, all that stuff, it really changes things for you, and it makes the game even funner.
Yeah.
And then once you discover cheats where you can get as much money as you want, that makes it even more so. You know what I mean? Because you can do crazy shit with them, and it was fun. It was interesting, but it was also like an interesting like experiment in life too, because like a lot of what happens with Sims can happen in real life, or how they interact, or certain things they do. You know, like I remember, you know, with the first Sims, we were playing it, and I think it was around the holidays, and my uncle was like away, and him and his wife, and they came to visit, and so because they came to visit, their kids came too, and their kids are way older than me. He was like 10 years older than me, or more.
Yeah.
So, but he was playing with us. And he was trying to get a girlfriend in The Sims. And me and my brother were watching like, what? You know, can you even do that? And then he did. But not only did he do it, but like back when I would play and try and get a girlfriend, it never worked. And then I learned that like, oh, you have to like talk to them. And then you have to keep talking to them. Oh, you can take them out on a date. That's cool. That's helpful. Oh, you can joke with him. Oh, that's good. Oh, you shouldn't try and kiss him like the first thing you do. You know what I mean? Like I essentially started learning
your 10-year-old brain.
Right.
Like,
yeah. I essentially started learning how to interact and socialize through The Sims.
Yeah.
Like there's steps to do things. There's appropriate ways to do things in social cues. And if you do this, that's wrong. Don't do that. You know what I mean? So it was kind of funny. And so that was fun. And then eventually you start to learn, how do I put this? You start to learn that you can also kill Sims.
Yeah.
So it goes from being like a simulation where you're in like a partnership with this Sim, and you're trying to get them successful in their life and whatever they're doing, their job, all that. It goes from that to like you're kind of like the vengeful god.
Yeah.
And you're like controlling their life, which then turns into these whole other things, because like it's a lot harder to kill Sims now, which is lame. But in the first one, I don't know why they
took that out.
Pretty much lame. The first through the third, it's the easiest. The first one's really easy to kill people. The best way I liked killing people was
oh my god,
in The Sims 1 and 2 was fire.
Yep.
And it was real simple. There was a fireworks station you could use. And if you use the fireworks station inside, it would cause a fire.
Yeah.
And if you also had flammable objects, those would catch on fire. So if you put your Sim in a room with, let's say, 20 beds surrounding them, and they light off the fireworks, and you delete the door, because
take away all the doors.
You can edit your house, so in the middle of it you can just delete a door. So you take away all the doors so no one can go in or go out, and then you have them light it off. They're gonna catch fire and die.
Yep.
And that's essentially what I did, just experiments on how to kill Sims. And then that took up a lot of my time as far as playing The Sims goes.
Yeah,
you know?
Mine too. At some point,
at some point,
learning how to kill Sims, like which you guys taught me how to do that. Mm-hmm. I killed.
Yeah,
I killed Sims.
And you can do it in so many ways. And then it got to the point where, like in the newer games, like second and third Sims, the way they died shows the kind of ghost they are. So if they died in fire, when their ghost comes back, they're red and they have like flames around them and stuff like that. And also that adds a whole new element to the game, which is there's ghosts.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other thing. And so you could have like a haunted house. You could have ghosts that come up around midnight and like walk around your house and shit like that. It's crazy. To the point where if you can become friends with a ghost, marry the ghost, and have a ghost baby.
Yeah, you can have a ghost child.
You can do that shit. Anyway, you start to also learn different ways you can kill them. So my favorite was fire, but you could do other things. You could drown them. You can drown them. You can like make a pool for them, because of course you can make a pool. Yeah. And then you you take out all the ladders for them to escape, so they essentially just swim and swim and swim until they die.
Yeah, until they get exhausted enough and they die.
Yeah, or you could do a really simple one, which is like a slow death, where you just put them in a room and take out the doors and don't give them a bathroom or a way to eat, and then they just stay there until they die. Like they starve and they pee themselves. It's just so fucked up, and then eventually they die, and that's it. And I don't know, that added a whole new element to The Sims, and it was so much fun. But after that, when I started playing The Sims more as an adult, quote unquote, like I started becoming more interested in like testing the limits of like how detailed they are like psychologically with things. So in Phoenix, when you started playing, me and Caesar were playing, and we made a family that all live together. They're all roommates, and they all like were like opposites, like personalities and stuff like that. So there was one guy who was like evil, but he was like a crazy evil, like a caricature of evil. You know what I mean? So like he did like silly things and he was evil. But then there was one girl who was also evil, but she was like a more realistic evil. Like she wanted to be in charge of an evil corporation and stuff like that. You know what I mean? She was more, he was like this like eccentric evil, and she was like this quiet evil, like a real evil. And then there was another roommate who was just the like pushover, like sad, you know, kind of pathetic pushover. And then the other roommate was this like carefree, like hippie, like stoner dude. And I remember they all lived together, and we wanted to see, and we put their personalities, because you can choose their personalities. We made them to where like they would fit that, and then we wanted to see how they interacted with each other. And when we built their house, we had a room for everyone, and then we jokingly made a room at the very top, like you could do 3 stories, and we did a 3rd story, and it was a small room with like a small bed and a computer, and a really old computer, and we're like, that's going to be the pushover's room, like that's his room, like jokingly. But of course we didn't know what was going to happen when we hit play. So we hit play, and immediately the pushover goes straight up to the 3rd floor and starts typing and playing on that computer. We didn't command him to do it, because obviously you can command the Sims to do certain things, like you tell them to go to the bathroom, tell them to cook. You know, that's how you control things. But you can also let them make their own decisions, and that's what he did.
That's the first thing he did. I remember this.
and so he did that. The crazy evil guy I think he went online and started trolling on forums on his computer. So he started being a troll on the internet. That's what he did right away. And then the evil lady went and got a job. So she was like real serious, down to business. And then the stoner dude just like, I think he started playing the guitar and then fell asleep on the couch. And we just let it play out for a while. And then what ended up happening is the stoner dude died trying to...
I remember. Oh my god.
He died. He was cooking hot dogs, and he caught himself on fire and died. And the whole time that happened, the crazy evil guy was like watching, and he was like all happy. And like it was like, wow, I couldn't have planned that anymore. And it was just perfect how they interacted, because like when one of them would go to work, like if the lady would go to work and like do her thing, you know, the stoner would stay up all night, and then she'd go to work at like 9. He'd go to bed and just fall asleep in her bed. He never had his own room or his own bed. So he'd either use a bed that wasn't being used or fall asleep on the couch. And he started getting fixated on his own without us telling him to do it, with grilling and making hot dogs. And it was like so perfect. And then that's how he ended up dying. And that's when you started playing The Sims too.
And getting really addicted.
And so that was fun. And then now that we're playing it too, right now it's starting off pretty tame for me. Like I'm just trying to see if I can just play the game. You know what I mean? Have someone, you know, get a job, work, get money, no cheats, anything like that. Just like play the game. And I guess when I made him, I didn't realize that I put him as an adult, because you can do child, like young adult, and then elder. And I put him as an adult, not a young adult. So quickly after I was playing, he he had a birthday and he became an elder. And I was like, this changes fucking everything. Like,
right,
I
he became
plans.
an old man
and
in the middle of your game.
I mean, it's perfect, right? Before you know it, you're old, right?
Yep.
But I had plans for this dude. And then he up and fucking turns old on me.
Yep.
So all those plans change, and now I'm just waiting for him to die, and I kind of hate him.
Well, you got the notification that it's almost his time, so he's gonna die randomly.
Soon, and I can't wait for it. And I'm already thinking, all right, I can't wait for the next family I make or the next sim I make, because I'm already thinking of things I'm gonna do differently.
Yeah. And we're still just kind of getting the controls down. We're still figuring out what we can do, what we can't, because they have made it much harder to kill Sims now. Yeah, and it kind of sucks, but we will find a way. If there's a will, there's a way.
If we keep playing, like right now, we're just getting back into it, you know, and just playing it, and like you said, figuring it all out. The longer it goes, the more crazy things may get, so we may have some more stories to tell. But I've done so much crazy shit in The Sims, and it's always been so much fun. And it sounds so crazy to people, like it doesn't seem like it'd be addicting, it seems kind of stupid, then they play it and it
ruins their life.
Every single person who plays it gets hooked, and it's just how it is, and it's fun. So whoever hasn't played The Sims should definitely play The Sims. It's on PC, it's on PlayStation also now. I would say try The Sims 3 before The Sims 4, but do whatever you want. Just try it out. It's a lot of fun, and it's kind of ironic that you're playing a video game that's about controlling people in real life. And so it's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
What the hell are they doing? But it's like, a great game, and you know, it's kind of helped me a lot, just be able to get away from it for a little bit, and you know, have my little painter, and she has a family now too, which her husband also ended up getting old too. Yep. So, yay!
Anyway, that's our little tidbit about The Sims. It's really fun. Check it out. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This was a roller coaster of a podcast, right?
Oh, this is crazy.
But that's life, and that's what's happening right now. It's imitating life, which is chaotic right now. And I know we're probably not the only people going through it, so whoever else is out there, I hope you got something from this. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things.
Right. Click those check marks, those hearts, those thumbs up, all of it.
Yeah. Please do that, and thank you. Thank you for doing so. As always, I love you. I love you very much. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And we'll see you next time.
Later.